Namaste everyone. This is S. Abhishek and I am from S2CSCB. Now, as a part of the computer assignment, I am going to explain one of the problems from Codeforces, array-based problem. So now let's see the problem. So the problem number is 300A, and this is the question. So Vitaly has an array of n distinct integers, and she wants to divide that array into three non-empty sets so that the following conditions are satisfied. So here the product of all elements in the first set is less than 0, and the second set should be greater than 0, and third set should be equal to 0. And what given in the question is the Vitali has a set of n elements, and what do we need to do here is we need to divide that set into the three sets so that the elements inside the set should satisfy this condition. The condition is in the first set, the product of all elements should be less than 0, and in the second set, the product of the elements should be greater than 0, and in the third set, the product should be equal to 0. So, uh, this is the condition for input and output constraints. So input, the first line should contain n, so number of the elements, and then the second line should contain n spaced integers, so the number of the elements. If the n is equal to 5, there should be like 5 elements, spaced elements. And the output, the first line should contain number of elements in that set, so that the product of those elements or is less than 0, that's negative. And in second set, number of the elements in that set, and the product of those elements is greater than 0. The third set, number of the elements, and the product of the elements is 0. So now let's go to the code. So this is the code. The first line, this is the basic declaration, and second set, and sorry, in the second line I'm just getting the input scanf, the number of the elements, and in the third line I just gave array n a1 n in the third line, because if I declare this in the first line itself, it will show the error that n is undeclared, or there is no value for n. And from this step onwards, uh, so from here to here, I'm just getting input and then finding how many numbers are greater than 0, less than 0, and equal to 0. So this the IRR of, so this is the line to get input, and this, if the input is greater than 0, then I'm just in this line I'm counting that element, and this is I'm just storing that position of that element, and this is that incrementation. So this is the I have declared three different sets to store positive positions, negative positions, positive positions, and 0. So in the second else if, this is the element, if is less than 0, it will go inside this condition, and if it doesn't go inside this both if and else if, then it goes inside else. So the meaning is it's 0, the element is 0. So here I have given a if condition. So why I have given the if condition is, consider that the n is 5. I mean the number of the input is 5, and there are three negative elements and one positive and one zero element. So obviously the positive element, the our condition is fulfilled that we have one positive, and zero is always zero, so we have conditions. But we have three negative elements. Consider -1, -2, -3. So in the first set, it should contain all the product should be less than negative. I mean the product should be negative, less than 0. So if we directly put all those elements in that set, the product uh, comes as negative. So here we don't have any problem. But consider that we have two uh, two negative values and two positive values and 1 0. So if this is the condition, then the values goes into this else if. So this is because the 0 comes into that third set, and the 2 positive goes into that second set, and in that first set there are two elements which is negative, but when we product the negative and negative, it gives positive, so it doesn't satisfy our the condition of the set 1. So what we do is we just remove one of the negative element from that set and just we include in third set, that's the 0. So any number into 0 is obviously 0. So what I'm doing is, this is the C2. C2 is the array that can AR of A2. This is the array that contains the position of the negative elements. So here count, I am decreasing the count so that the count is the count of that set should be less than I mean one lesser. So here I'm just reducing that, and in this for loop also I'm just reducing one element from displaying the screen, and then this same as the code displayed above, and here I have just made a uh, little modification. So here I just said that we need to add one negative element in 0. So obviously the count of that element in the set increases. So I just added plus 1 here and subtracted minus 1 here, so that the count is also reduced, and I'm just adding that negative element here in this line. So here it's satisfied. So I gave ampersand C1 greater than 0, and here also I gave ampersand C1 greater than 0. So here the condition is uh, at least there should be one positive element so that this condition satisfies, else it goes inside this. So why I gave this condition is, uh, consider that you have no positive elements, and the n is 4. There are three negative elements and one zero, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and 0. So to get positive element, you need to multiply two negative elements. So obviously the first set contains minus 1, and second set contains minus 2 into minus 3, so that you get the product is 6, and the third set contains 0. So if it satisfies, it comes into this condition. So now let's check the uh, inputs and outputs given. Here it's given 3 and minus 1 to 0. So here obviously the each number goes to each set. So it's very easy to see. And then now we can see that second example. Four minus 1 minus 2 minus 3 0. Now seeing that question itself, we can just identify there is no positive element. As I said before, it goes into the else condition. It doesn't goes into that ampersand C1 greater than 0, because it doesn't contain any positive element. So if I didn't give that else condition, we will get a wrong answer. So here obviously two negative elements goes to the for a positive, and one for negative, and the 0. So here we got, so minus 1 is negative, so the product of these two elements is 6, and that's positive, and this is 0. So the count, so you may just I mean confused why I have reduced one element from here, one element from here. So here I gave C2 minus 1, and here I gave C3 plus 1, because as I'm removing one element from here, the count should also reduce, and I am adding one element here. I mean not in this case, in other example. So the count should